So we've all heard the term, it takes a village to raise a child. Some along that way, we've forgotten to give back. And so we need to all remember that sometimes it is important to remember that it takes a child to raise a village. For example, in 2015, Dallas ISD said that they spent $1.6 billion on total expenditures for their school systems and helping to make sure that all their children had a fair chance at coming up. But how do we solve this? In what way can we accommodate for these expenses? And the best way to do that is through fundraising. Fundraising it's essential to functioning a school system. I remember when I was going through elementary school, everyone knew when the yearly fundraiser came along. Everyone was competitive, you were competing student to student, class to class. It was a huge deal, and the winner of the class, sometimes they got a field trip to a local city park, or sometimes they got their own pizza party. Either way, you were competing against each other, and that could just be the athlete in me that loves the competition, but I think it helps motivate a lot of students. The main reasons that fundraising is important is because it helps promote the growth of our schools, and it also helps build the strength and character of our students, while at the same time bringing together a community. But without these fundraisers, we're neglecting our children. We need to be able to give them a fighting chance, meaning that we need to be able to provide with them at least up-to-date equipment and facilities so that way they feel like they're able to hang on with those schools that are at a higher income level. But sometimes without these fundraisers, the children can begin to neglect themselves. And by saying that, I mean they can sell themselves short without getting this exposure. Sandy Perez of Salina said, you know, my parents, they were farm workers, migrant workers. And so they never thought of this being even possible for the family. Of course, this being going to college or going on to have an extremely successful life. So when we begin to take out certain elements of children's lives, such as the places they're able to learn in, the facilities they get, sometimes they sell themselves short. And we don't ever want that to happen. But also, the best part of the fundraising is it helps the community out. A city data, it showed that in 2013, Dallas had a 17.8% of their residents below the poverty line. That is significant considering that of those 17.8%, lots of them are children. And these children are not given the same chance as those from high-income areas. But what effect is this having on our youth directly? Why is it that they aren't allowed to come up? Well, for some reason, somewhere along the way, children of today's time have lost the value of a dollar. They're becoming much more materialistic, meaning that they're starting to take for granted the things that they get, whereas opposed to the things they put into getting these items. But how bad is it, you say? Well, in a study done by San Diego State University, kids of 2005 through 2007, of those they interviewed, 62% of them said they think it is very important to have a lot of money. Whereas compared to the 1976 through 1978, 48% of them thought that it was important to have a lot of money. I know that's not a big deal. The big concern is that of those in 1976 through 78, only 25% of them admitted they didn't want to have to work for that money. Whereas compared to 2005 through 2007, 39% admitted that they did not want to have to work for it. So how do we solve this? Well, the best way we can begin to solve it is to introduce them to higher fundraising, getting them more involved in the community, because fundraising helps build a community, their school systems, and of course, most importantly, the children within them. How can this benefit for our schools? Well, from an obvious standpoint, it gives them the ability to get new equipment, new facilities, and it gives their children within them a feeling of comfort. See, when you help provide students with it doesn't necessarily have to be the latest and greatest, but at least a newer piece of equipment, a newer facility, they feel comforted. They feel like you have supported them and that they know you have your back with your future. My high school, when they first opened up in 2006 through 2007, raised a total of $56,154. I know it does seem like it's a lot, but in hindsight, for a school that had just opened up and had to accommodate for a lot of different expenses, it didn't help as much as we wanted it to. they realized that and they wanted to help provide us with a chance to succeed in life. And this past year alone, they raised a total of $375,000. This money went towards new computers, new iPads and iPods that went and smart boards from all the way down from the high school level all the way down to the elementary school. But fundraising is not just about the direct school effect that it has. It brought together a community. We also run at Lovejoy an event called Denim and Diamonds. This is a local auction, a high-end auction that helps bring together everyone of the Lovejoy community to bid, have a good time, and just enjoy each other's company. This event alone raised $285,000. But most importantly, what does this do for our children? This helps give them a certain skill set of selling. It helps them put themselves out there, learn to go out and not be afraid to hear someone say no, or not be afraid to just put themselves out there. And most importantly, it gives them the ability to work with a team. When you work with your partner, your students, the rest of the people in your classroom, you learn to collaborate with others and hear what others have to say. These are very crucial considering the census of 2014, they said that the leading major in the United States was business, meaning 20% of anyone that went to college had a business, was majoring something with business relation. So, how is this going to help our children? And also, this is going to help them realize the importance of community service. It is important for somewhere along the line, those that have become narrow-minded and they don't exactly see anything that happens outside of their neighborhood, outside of their school system, to realize that this can benefit another person. And also, it helps establish this feeling of the worth of a dollar. Again, kids have become much more into receiving the money, not really knowing what it happens. They used to have going up to mom and dad, ask for $5 over and over again, but not really knowing how it feels to work for that $5 in return. So why are we doing this? What seems to be holding us up? Well, people that do not live in these low-income areas don't always see the direct impact of what these people go through there. They go through their day-to-day lives, and they see a much more structured area, meaning that they just don't see the struggles that most people do. Also, children don't feel the need to raise money for a cause though, which they may not see a direct reward from, which is hard to believe, but that's the fact of reality, it's true. So how do we fix this? We need to encourage them. We need to have much more fundraising throughout the year. And when we have those, we need to set a goal. It's hard to fundraise when you don't have an end result and you don't know what you want that end result to be. When you set a goal for someone, they can strive for something. They know how much they need to continue to raise until they get there. Without setting one, people just aimlessly raise if they raise at all. This way you can control the pace of your raising. In a study done by Harvard, it said that the top 3% of students who had goals written down and were ready to fight for those goals, on average earned 10 times as much the other 97% of students that went to college. That's a lot considering the average person coming out of Harvard makes about $110,000. So just imagine what that would be. So there are some downsides to setting goals. Setting a goal is a huge thing. When you set that, you have something that you want to hit, and you typically don't like to settle for anything less. Okay? Morgan and Livestrong said that when someone doesn't achieve their goal, they may experience a sense of failure. That is true. I know that as an athlete, when I set a goal high and I don't hit it, it hurts. It does hurt a lot. And you kind of beat yourself up a bit. But at the end, you know you're proud of what you've done, which is the benefit of fundraising. A lot of the time, they will take what you got, what you brought to them, and anything helps any cause. So, guys, you gotta understand, fundraising has been around for many years, and the message have changed, but if there's one thing that has stayed constant, it is the reason and the purpose for which we do it, and that is to help out someone in need. Students need to be encouraged to go out and do much more successful fundraising, because in this way, they realize that after the village is finished raising them, they can turn around and raise the village of their own.